6 officers, 43 NCOs, 116 airmen and airwomen on parade and ready for your inspection, ma'am. Permission to stand numbers 2, 3 and 4 flight at ease, ma'am. Number 1 flight, stand fast. Remainder, stand at ease.
Distinguished guests, members of the RAF Station Swinderby, ladies and gentlemen, may I welcome you all here today on this beautiful morning and a very special and auspicious occasion when at last the Newark Town Council honours the men and women from the Royal Air Force Station Swinderby. In August of 1940, The first airmen flew from RAF Station Swinderby, and one or two of those were Polish as well. They went off to do their bit for king and country, and the Royal Air Force Base at Swinderby was fully operational. Since September 1982, the base has been mainly a recruitment training centre, but nonetheless a fully functional place. So, as part of the 50-year celebration, I am very proud and honoured to be giving today the station the Honorary Freedom of Newark on behalf of the Newark people and the Newark Town Council. Newark and Swinderby have been closely linked for a long time through the channels of firstly RAF personnel being billeted during the war with the families in and around Newark. Some of those billets became more permanent when some of the RAF forces married local girls and have stayed in Newark even to this day. And then later on, when they had dancers at the station, and busloads of girls from Newark were bussed out to the camp to the dancers. And also, from that account, one or two marriages were formed. And through the years, the RAF station has been represented at our annual Battle of Britain parade, and also, as one of the honours of the Mayor of Newark, is to go to the RAF base at Swinderby to be the reviewing officer. I and my husband Barry went in April to do the review at the base, and what an highlight of my year that was. It was very fulfilling for me to see so many smart young men and women turn out on that parade and know that they're going to have a good career in their future them in the RAF. And the highlight of that also was flown in one of your Chipmunks airplanes over the town of Newark to see Newark at a different angle from the air. Some of you today are members of flights 16, 17 and 19 will be having your passing out parade on Wednesday. When you leave Swinderby, go to different RAF stations throughout the country and to further your careers. I wish each and every one of you every success in your chosen field and hope that you will remember Swinderby and Newark with fond memories, especially of today's parade. So it gives me very great pleasure today to present to your commanding officer, Group Captain Williams, this scroll on behalf of the people of Newark and the Newark Town Council. Thank you all very much.
Lord Lieutenant, Madam Mayor, Chairman of the District Council, High Sheriff, Air Vice Marshal Pilkington, distinguished guests and citizens of Newark. May I begin, Madam Mayor, by thanking you and the Town Council for the very great honour you bestow on all of us from RAF Swinderby today. I know that we and our successors will always treasure the fine illuminated scroll that you have just unveiled beside me. Thank you too for your very kind words about RAF Swinderby and its staff and recruits. I am conscious too that the honour you have awarded us is perhaps even more significant because the facts of geography and history mean that RAF Swinderby lies in another county. Studying the history of your ancient and famous town, I observed that relationships between Lincolnshire and Newark were not always so amicable. During the Civil War in 1643, the people of Newark, a strongly royalist town, were forced to dig ditches and put up strong chains to prevent a force of parliamentary supporters attacking the town from the northeast. The people of Newark counterattacked the invaders from Lincoln and effectively routed them. Madam Mayor, I can assure you I have my Lincoln troops under control. And my Chipmunk aircraft present neither a strike force or even a threat to the ears of your townspeople. The events of that civil war led through the intervening centuries to our present constitutional position, a parliamentary democracy under Her Majesty the Queen, with the armed forces quite rightly under civilian political control. As we look out from these islands on a troubled world, I for one am glad that our history has led us in this direction. Throughout its brief life, the Royal Air Force has played a full role on that national canvas. In the 50 years of its life, RAF Swinderby began, as you mentioned, by housing the first formed Polish bomber squadrons in this country, and they were followed by Australian aircrew. The role changed from 1942 and we became a training unit. Over 150,000 aircrew were trained for bombing duties by 1945. Between 1945 and 64, many thousand aircrew trained for a peacetime Royal Air Force, but nonetheless one which fought many campaigns around the world, including most recently in the Gulf. The largest campaign being that very imprecise but very real slice of history known as the Cold War. Since 1964, well over another 150,000 basic recruits and several hundred pilots have made their way into the wider Royal Air Force. Of these many thousands, a large proportion will always remember Newark, its people, its parish church, its railway station, its shops, and doubtless its hotels and pubs, as well as some, the young ladies you mentioned earlier. Madam Mayor, once again, all our thanks for the tribute and honour your historic town has bestowed on your relatively youthful military neighbour today. May I close by saying that I trust our relationship with Newark will be as harmonious, friendly and welcoming in the future as it has certainly been during my own 2 years as station commander.
Permission to march off, mark.
Brothers and sisters in Christ, we come on this special day to celebrate our dependence upon God for all his gifts of life and love. We give thanks for the blessings bestowed upon us, and especially for the bond between this town of Newark and Royal Air Force Swinderby. We offer prayer for the world, that it may, in sorrow and joy, know the presence of God's healing love. We renew our trust in the loving purpose of God, that the whole creation may find liberty and fulfillment in union with Him. First, mindful of the vision of glory God sets before us, and recollecting the sin which is in us and which fragments his love in the world, we kneel in penitence.
Almighty God, who in Jesus Christ has given us a kingdom that cannot be destroyed, forgive you your sins, open your eyes to God's truth, strengthen you to do God's will, and give you the joy of his kingdom through Jesus Christ our Lord.
Amen. Moses went up the mountain of God. The Lord called to him from the mountain and said, "Speak this to the house of Jacob, and tell this to the sons of Israel. You have seen with your own eyes what I did for Egypt. And now I carry you on eagle's wings and brought you to me. If only you will now listen to me and keep my covenant, then out of all people you shall become my special possession, for the whole earth is mine. You shall be my kingdom of priests, my holy nation. These are the words you shall speak to the Israelites." Moses came and some of the elders of the people, and set before them these commands which the Lord had laid upon him. The people all answered together, "Whatever the Lord had said, we will do." Moses brought this answer back to the Lord. This ends the first lesson.
So Jesus said to them, "When you have lifted up the Son of Man, you will know that I am what I am. I do nothing on my own authority, but in all that I say, I have been taught by my Father. He who sent me is present with me and has not left me alone, for I always do what is acceptable to him." As he said this, many put their faith in him. Turning to the Jews who had believed him, Jesus said, "If you dwell within the revelation I have brought, you are indeed my disciples. You shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free." They replied, "We are Abraham's descendants. We have never been in slavery to any man. What do you mean by saying, 'You will become free men'?" "In very truth, I tell you," said Jesus, "that everyone who commits sin is a slave. The slave has no permanent standing in the household, but the son belongs to it forever. If then the Son sets you free, you will indeed be free." Here ends the second lesson.
conferring the honorary freedom of the town of Newark, we dedicate it now in thanksgiving for past fellowship, and that it may be in the future a symbol of continuing mutual concern. Amen. If you obey my teachings, you will be my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. We are assembled in this church to do two things. First, to give thanks for 50 years of faithful service by many thousands of men and women who have passed through RAF Swinderby to serve in one way or another in the defence of the realm. And second, to celebrate the conferring on RAF Swinderby of the honorary freedom of the town of Newark. During the 50 years of its existence, the station has lived through a rich diversity of events. In early August 1940, the Royal Air Force Station at Swinderby was commissioned and became part of No. 1 Group Bomber Command. It was also for a time, as many of us in this area know, a base for 2 Polish squadrons. And in those early dark years of the war, there were frequent raids launched from Swinderby against enemy invasion barges assembled in the French Channel ports. Later on, Lancasters and Stirlings flew heavy bombing missions deep into Germany, by then from a much expanded base. And during the years of the war, the station was occasionally attacked, I understand it, by lone raiders. But apparently more damage seems to have been caused to the runways by ground flooding than by enemy bombs. Fortunately, something has been done to the Trent in recent years. And right up to date, during the Gulf War, it is worth noting that many of the airmen and airwomen who kept the aircraft flying in the Gulf started their careers here at Swinderby. Swinderby is often referred to as the gateway to the RAF. Male and female recruits work in mixed flights for a 6 weeks intensive course of initial training before moving on to specialist training in stations elsewhere in the country. And since the 1970s, the station is also training pilots from friendly countries as well as running overflow courses for the Royal Navy. And this is a matter of justifiable satisfaction and pride by those associated with the station, recruits, their commanding officers and the wider community. But Newark and Swinderby are linked in other ways too. All recruits who arrive by train do so at Newark Station, which must be a significant proportion of the 130 or so recruits who arrive each week. I don't know what train they actually travel on, but I don't seem to have seen any when I have been travelling either to or from London. But during the time that they are here at Swinderby, they are also involved in projects which raise a significant amount of money for local charities. I happened to have been in the hairdresser earlier this week in Southall and picked up one of the local papers which showed a picture of a presentation of a sword, I think a Wilkinson sword, by the Duke of Kent to RAF Swinderby for the extraordinary achievement that you have gained by your work in charity fundraising this year. But since rationalisation and reorganisation of the service, civilians from the locality are now employed in greater numbers and do a variety of tasks at the station. And that too strengthens the links with Newark and the local community. Also, of course, from time to time, when the station is open to the general public, it attracts people in large numbers from the area, which again contributes to fostering good relations with those who live in this area. I understand that there is a passing out parade each week with a guest reviewing officer taking the salute. And on one such occasion in 1972, I think, the reviewing officer was the Sheriff of Nottingham, and one of the recruits who marched past was a certain Robin Hood by name. The parade apparently passed off without incident. A moment ago, in the prayer of dedication, conferring the honorary freedom of the town of Newark, we prayed in a spirit of thankfulness to God for all those who have passed through Swinderby during the last 50 years. We do this before God, reminding ourselves that the honour conferred today by the town of Newark touches not only those here this morning, or those going through training at the moment, but also the past generations of men and women, and indeed those yet to come, associated with Swinderby.
Today,
Oh, there he is. Jerry.